I'm just trying to keep doing this.
Enjoy listening to you play. Hold on. It's good. Terrible. This guy. Sometimes that's good. That's good. No, you're great. You really are.
Oh, you can,
Do you think the level this was at earlier? Probably. I'm just, what I'm gonna do,
he's running the sound for the
I'll
service.
for the service, I'm just gonna grab my guitar, sit down,
And if for
right
some
now, I'll
reason,
plug it in and go.
all right, thank you. Need fans on in here. You like the air?
Well, I can't tell, I've been rushing around,
Yes, exactly.
So we're officially.
We're officially unmasked.
Okay.
Yeah. I know it's kind of weird to see everybody.
It is.
Yeah. Unless you want to. Unless you want to. So I'm wearing my mask as a backup, you know, and if somebody feels like they
Yeah.
want to put it on.
Thank you.
So David, I talked to Debbie Sousa.
Oh yeah.
I gave her my best spiel about you. So
Okay.
of course she has to be very, you know, objective.
Mhm.
But
That's what it should be.
but yeah, but she did tell me she'd already gotten Will's reference about you. She'd already heard about you from Evie Johnson. So yeah.
Thank you.
So
Appreciate it.
sounds promising. Yeah, I don't know if you have met her or not. Have you?
I haven't. We might-
Dr. Deborah Sousa is officially.
I've been to a couple AGO organ events in the last couple of years here, so I've probably been in the same room together.
Probably,
but haven't been
so.
introduced.
She taught for years in public school systems, and then, years ago, she moved to the Episcopal School of Knoxville, and has been their music theater person there for several years. Just recently retired. She's been the organist at St. John's Lutheran, which is where I used to be, so that's how I know her. She came on board like in January of that year, and I came on board in May. So we kind of, learned the ropes together there. So worked together for about 17 years there. So lots of stuff. And her husband is the former band director at the University of Tennessee. Let me rephrase that. Her ex-husband is the former band director of the University of Tennessee. But she's taught in the music department. So she's and she loves the organ. She started playing the organ when she was like 15 years old in our church. So she loves the organ.
Thanks.
So,
I
you're
really
welcome.
appreciate it.
You're welcome. So, when are they making a decision? Do you have any idea?
The last to know.
I definitely.
He's the scholarship applicant for I guess it's the University of Tennessee. Is that, yeah. They're doing an organ scholarship. We've now taken the world.
Tell the world.
The art guy. Oh, okay, good.
The gentleman in the
it. I can do that. I prefer that one. Once or twice?
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Nebby Jackson, and I'm a member of the TVUC board. And I would like to welcome you on behalf of the board and the program council. You are welcome here wherever you are, whoever you are, and wherever you are on your journey. If you would like more information about this church, please see the pocket in front of you and fill out that information card, and you can put it in the offering plate as it comes by. And it's so nice to see everyone's smiling faces, for the CDC has turned Knoxville down to low, and there are no COVID protocols for low. So welcome, and if you do feel that there is a need for you to be in a smaller space, there is a Lizzie Crozier-French room, which is at the front of the entrance hall. You can be there with adults, but if you have children and you want to, you will be in room A. And all people over the age of 2 in those rooms will be required to wear a mask. As we move forward together, please remember that we are each other's keepers. So as you choose to do what you need to with masks, we all appreciate and honor your choices. If you're here with small children and you want more information about our religious education program, there is a table in the hall. Miriam Davis is at that table. Please see her, and she will give you all the information you need about our children's services. We have a couple of announcements today. Jeff Meller is organizing a table for the Literacy Awards benefit that will be this Friday from 6 to 9 at the Knoxville Botanical Gardens. And our own Miriam Davis is being honored for her work in the Children's Library for Diversity and Justice. So if you want to attend this event, see Jeff and he can help you out. And also just a little note in the program, in the service program, the flowers today, these beautiful sunflowers and roses, are to honor Terry Uselton and Marcia Uselton's aunt and nephew, Luke Bell. So that is just one little addition. And we have Miss Cindy Moffett here to tell us a little bit about the auction.
Good morning. It's time to start thinking about this year's Thanks for Giving auction. The website is up and running and waiting for your donations. We're planning an in-person party for December 3rd, so mark your calendars. The auction is a great way to knock out some Christmas presents. It's a great way to enjoy events like dinners with old friends or people who are new to you. There's nothing like a meal for creating bonds, I think. It's a great way to get valuable services, often at reasonable rates. Dave Holden right now is walking me through Medicare sign-up, and he has made what is for me a terrifying experience. I have knee-jerk fear of .gov forms into a calm, supported one, and I got that at the auction. I'm going to quote Diane Fox, who said one year, I need to hold my hands like, she said, "I believe in the auction. I believe in its ability to create community among us." So start thinking, and if computer sites are not your key to happiness, we'll have an auction table set up in the fellowship hall after services starting in October. You can come work with a helpful human. Thank you for giving to the auction.
And please remember that there will be coffee and conversation in the fellowship hall after the service. Now, if you would please silence your electronic devices while we move into worship.
introduce Reach Out and Touch a Hand, Make a Friend if you can, as a chalice sliding. And Paul wasn't able to be here with us to perform it. And so we're replacing the musical meditation with that, so you can get a chance to hear Paul perform this. And then after the opening words, you'll sing it. And then we'll practice doing that song as a chalice sliding.
Can't you feel it in your bones, y'all? A change is coming on. From every walk of life, people are seeing the light. Well, can't you feel it in your hearts now? A new thing is taking shape. Reach out, touch your hand. Make a friend if you can. Hey, what about you, my friend? Ain't it time you come on in? We can find a better way. Why don't you join us today? Reach out and touch a hand. Make a friend if you can. Reach out and touch a hand, y'all. Make a friend if you can. It's been reflected in the attitudes of others just like you. Reach out, touch a hand, y'all. Make a friend if you can. Every day folks are waking up to the need for one another. We're on our way, making the world a better place. Can't you feel it in your hearts now? A new thing is taking shape. Reach out, touch a hand, y'all. Make a friend if you can. Well, reach out and touch a hand now. Make a friend if you can now. Reach out and touch a hand. Make a friend if you can. Well, reach out and touch a hand. Make a friend if you can. Reach out and touch a hand. Make a friend if you can. Say, reach out and touch a hand now. Oh, make a friend if you can now. Oh, reach out and touch a hand. Make a friend if you can.
This morning we're inviting everyone to reflect on what your own personal mission statement is. And there is a place in your order of service, you'll notice under the calendar, where you can start dreaming and writing your own mission statement. Space, the final frontier, that one's taken. So try to come up with something a little bit that's unique to your personality. So these are our opening words to guide us in this process of discerning what our own personal mission in life is. We whose journeys are always beginning, we whose mission always awaits us, we whose visions are bent on loving, we gather together here. We gather together seeking meaning. We gather together with questions. We gather together with hope. We gather wanting certainty but having none. We gather thirsting for meaning and purpose and direction and mission. Come, let us worship together.
Can you feel it in your hearts now? A new thing is taking shape. Reach out and touch a hand. Make a friend if you can. Reach out and touch a hand. Make a friend if you can. Reach out and touch a hand. Make a friend if you can. Reach out and touch a hand. Make a friend if you can. Reach out and touch a hand. Make a friend if you can.
Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. To dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. This is our great covenant. You can remain standing for hymn 1017 in the teal hymnal. We are building a new way.
Good morning. It is so good to be gathered here in all the ways that we gather, to see so many of us here in this space, and to know that there are so many more watching from elsewhere in this building or from home. I have a story to share with you today, and it's about somebody named Carl. Now, Carl was not a person. Carl was not a bird or a bear or a beaver. Carl was an earthworm. How many of us have ever seen an earthworm? If you have seen an earthworm, you might also have some idea of what earthworms do. And Carl spent his days, like so many other earthworms, digging underground, digging and burrowing, eating dead leaves, digesting them, feasting and casting and tunneling and making fluffy soil. He did that day after day after day. Does any of us have something that you can think of that you have done over and over and over and over again? Now, one day he happened to be up at the surface and he met a field mouse, and the field mouse said to him, Why are you doing that? And Carl stopped what he was doing. And he said to the field mouse, Why do I do what I do? Why do I do what I do? I don't know. And he stopped because Carl realized he wanted to do something with purpose. He wanted meaning. Why did he do what he did? He didn't know. So what he needed to do instead of doing it was go figure out why he did it. So he continued on, and he met a bunny. And he said to the bunny, "Oh, excuse me, do you know why I do what I do?" And the bunny said, what do you think the bunny said? I heard it out there. The bunny said, I don't know why you do what you do. I do what I do for my children. Are any of us here who might feel like some of the things we do or have done have been for children? But Carl did not find that very helpful because Carl did not have any children. So he continued on. And next he met a fox, and he said, "Oh, excuse me, fox. Can you tell me why do I do what I do?" And what do you think the fox said? Yeah, the fox said, "I don't know why you do what you do. I do what I do for the hunt." But Carl did not want to hunt. So he continued on. And then after a little while, he saw a squirrel. And what do you think Carl did? That's right. He went up to the squirrel, so much hope in his heart, his little earthworm heart, and he said, "Oh, excuse me, squirrel. Do you know, can you please help me? Why do I do what I do?" And the squirrel said, "I don't know. But you know what I'm doing? I am burying acorns, and I'm doing it so that I can have something to eat later, and also I do it to grow trees because I sleep in trees." Does anybody here sleep in trees? Has anybody here ever slept in a tree or a tree house? But Carl, what do you think about Carl? Carl could not sleep in trees. And in fact, Carl couldn't sleep anywhere because he was so worried about figuring out why he did what he did. And then one day, he noticed that the ground was getting barren and dry. And the grasses weren't growing anymore. And he hadn't seen another animal for a long while. All he had to join him when he looked up were clouds. But he couldn't talk to the clouds and ask them his question. And he thought, I will never find out. What do you think Carl did then? I heard it over here. He began to sniffle and cry. And then, though, he heard, it almost seemed like an echo. He heard another sniffle. And he looked over and he saw the saddest ground beetle he had ever seen. And the ground beetle wailed, I can't find any grubs. Why might that beetle have been looking for grubs? Because he's hungry, yeah. And Carl, being a helpful kind of earthworm, decided to help the beetle look for grubs. So he looked under a rock, no grubs. And then he poked at the ground, but the ground was hard as a rock. And then Carl knew what he had to do. And he said, you just wait a little bit. And what do you think Carl began to do? He began to burrow and dig and tunnel and eat and digest dried leaves and tunnel more and feast and cast. And as hours turned into days and weeks, what began happening? The ground started to become soft, rich soil again. And the grasses began to come back. And soon the clover returned, and so did the rabbit with her babies, and the fox for the hunt, and all the animals. And if anybody ever asked, why do you do what you do? Most of the animals might have had an answer. But if somebody asked, how do I find out why I do what I do? They didn't necessarily have an answer for that creature, but they would say, how about you go talk to Carl? Carl was very pleased with his purpose. And that is our story for this morning. And we are going to have, during our recessional, our learners and leaders who are heading to our religious exploration spaces are going to head out during our song. Thank you all so much.
Our thoughts and prayers are with Chaz Barber, who spent 11 days in the hospital for COVID complications, but is home now. And as you know, during the height of the pandemic, when he was undergoing cancer treatment himself and immunocompromised, he made lots of music videos so that we could be a congregation together. And in appreciation for that, the choir made a music video this morning to send to him, and I made a music video to send earlier. And if you worked on music over the pandemic and want to make a video and send it to him, that's just a really special way. He worked hard to keep us safe before the vaccines, before any options, so let's keep him in our thoughts and prayers. This afternoon, we will be having a memorial service for Kim Haynes, and it will be held here at 4 o'clock in this room. Kim traveled a lot for her work, so even before the pandemic hit, she kind of connected with us online through podcasts. And I think one of the interesting things is that some of the people who will be sharing memories of her never met her in person. They were part of the heart-to-heart circles that met online and really developed important bonds. So just want to lift up Kim. She said in my last visit with her the Monday before she died, "I'm at peace and I feel surrounded by love." We also want to hold in our hearts Margaret Schmidt, who is here today, whose partner Glenda Bergens entered into hospice care. So we're sending you light and love as you enter into this painful but also sacred time of supporting a partner through a time of transition. Let us hold these thoughts and prayers in our minds, those which are spoken and those which remain unspoken, as we enter into meditation together with these words from the Navajo tradition, helping us to find beauty even in the midst of pain. Beauty is before me, and beauty is behind me. Above me and below me hovers the beautiful. I am surrounded by it. I am immersed in it. In my youth, I am aware of it, and in old age, I shall walk quietly the beautiful trail. In beauty, it is begun. In beauty, it is ended. Let us enter into silent worship in the presence of the beautiful together. Amen. You can remain seated for hymn 342.
Good morning. I'm glad to be with you after 6 weeks of being in bed or admitted to the hospital on 3 different occasions. Thank you. And I can honestly say that what keeps me going and got me through it all is my personal mission. So I'd like to spend a little time talking about the importance of personal mission and how that contributes to the shared vision of an organization. The UUA officially recognizes or says that there are 6 components that need to be part of a healthy congregation. And excuse me if I refer more to my notes here, but I'm right now at about 60%. I plan on getting to 100% before the end of the month. And I'm getting there slowly, so I'll refer to my notes more than I would like to. So the things that a healthy congregation needs are core values, covenant, mission, vision, strategic planning, and goal setting. Now, here at TVUC, we spent time talking about our covenant, our core values. We talk about our principles and our mission. And these are all listed on our website. They're listed under our mission, under who we are. And if you haven't seen those lately, I suggest you take a look at those things just to kind of get a sense for what the congregation is about. But a vision is different. A vision is more about who we want to be. It's more specific, whereas the mission and the covenant, they talk about how we want to act together. They talk about how we want to be in the world. A vision is more specific. It basically gets into what specifically do we want to accomplish. Goal setting and strategic planning are things that we do, and it's hard to do goal setting and strategic planning in a rapidly changing world, because who can plan beyond 6 months or 18 months because things are changing rapidly. But what a vision does is vision provides the basis. It provides that long-term look, 5 years, 10 years out, as to where we want to go and who we want to be. And as the world changes and all these things come at us, the vision provides the foundation for turning all those things that may be perceived as threats into opportunities. So what I would suggest that we as a congregation do is we create a shared vision. And the question is, how do you create a shared vision? And organizations have gone through many, many exercises, and there are lots of different ways to create, or lots of different prescriptions to create a shared vision. But all ways of creating a shared vision generally arise from the personal mission statements of those that are a part of the organization. So I suggest that we create TVUUC's shared vision by starting with what's important to us. Why do we think TVUUC matters, and why does it matter to us? Which is, what are our personal mission? And in our personal mission statements, we need to think about what then, in terms of our personal mission, how does that contribute to the greater good? How can what we do contribute to the vision of TVUUC? So what we're going to ask you to do today is, if you look in your order of service, there's a space for writing your personal missions or thinking about your personal mission statements. Denise and I will share our personal mission statements and how it translates into what we see are visions for TVUUC. So as we talk about it, and as Chris preaches, you are going to preach, right? Reflect on what's important to you, why you're here at TVUUC, and where do you think TVUUC needs to go. And write those down in the order of service and turn it back to us. This is just one of many ways we will collect and create the shared vision. We'll be using electronic methods, forms and surveys, and other things in the future. So Denise and I now will share our shared mission and vision and how it relates to what we see and the roles that we play at TVUUC.
Good morning. I see a lot of you flipping through the order of service. The place to reflect about your mission, I think it's at the end of the weekly schedule. And there's a picture. Chloe's holding it up. Thanks, Chloe. And so is Heather. Viktor Frankl said, "We detect rather than invent our missions in life." Everyone has their own specific vocation or mission in life. No one cannot be replaced, nor can there be life repeated. Thus, everyone's task is as unique as their specific opportunity to implement it. When I began writing my mission statement, I began by reflecting on the things in my life. As a change catalyst, and the memory I have of being a change catalyst, and in the 6th grade, I organized a strike against the school cafeteria because the food was so bad. The bad thing about that was my mother was a cafeteria worker, so you know how that ended. And the other theme in my life was to be aligned with my purpose, and also service is a big part of my life. So my mission is to facilitate the changes in organizations that develop leaders and unleash the power, creativity, and commitment of the human spirit. I resolve to continually align myself with my true purpose and a higher power. I commit to developing my talents. I will dedicate them to noble purposes and use them to provide service to others. I wrote my first personal mission statement about 1991 when I attended a 7 Habits of Highly Effective People workshop. It was perfect timing for me because I was no longer happy in my job at IBM, so I was just going through the motions. There was no joy in my work, and it was because at the time I joined IBM, we were in alignment because they believed in customer satisfaction, product excellence, and respect for the individual. And they lost sight of that and started just focusing on profit. My mission statement has evolved over the years. In fact, I reviewed it again prior to this service and made a few tweaks. Writing or reviewing a mission statement for me forces you to go back through your priorities deeply and to align your behavior. My mission statement centers me. It provides me with the necessary guidance to determine my priorities and focus. My mission statement guided me to make some key decisions in my life. I made the decision to leave IBM and partnered with AB to start a management consulting firm. I went to graduate school at UT and received a master's in leadership studies and adult education, and I had talked about doing that for years, but once I got focused again, I did it. I had always wanted to take voice lessons. I signed up through continuing education, connected with a voice teacher, and started studying classical music. Alignment with purpose in my mission reminds me to make decisions in support of my mission each and every day, and developing my talents for the purposes of good. My statement also guides me when determining where I want to serve or volunteer in the church. I serve on the Strategic Planning Committee, which is also known as Long-Range Planning, because the church is in a time of change. As Reverend Dr. Susan Frederick Gray has said in her President's Report at General Assembly in 2022, we're in the churn of change. Systems and practices that we've relied on are breaking down and shifting, while what is needed is being imagined, but not yet here. I have skills in cultural change, organizational strategy, and leadership. AB and I have also participated in the UUA leadership training programs, and we intend to make them a part of our strategy. I volunteer in RE because I want to develop our future leaders for TVUUC and the community. I am always in awe and wonder as I participate with the young people because they, to me, are so wise beyond their years. And one of my personal visions is to have more youth involvement in the governance of the church, i.e. board participation. I sing with the choir because I have a talent to offer, and it provides me with the opportunity to share the gospel music that I grew up singing, and music and singing is a part of my spiritual practice. My mission statement also guided me to TVUUC. TVUUC has provided me with opportunities to facilitate change in the community, whether through women's rights, social justice, or voting rights. TVUUC has provided me opportunities for me to nurture my spiritual growth. I have been able to explore various religious practices where I had not been able to do so before. There are opportunities for service for me here, and my personal mission is aligned with TVUUC, and it's important to me. Each of us have our own unique gifts and talents, and I challenge all of us to look inside and see where we can help with the church and what our personal missions are, because it will take all of us to reimagine our church, TVUUC.
Like Denise, my mission statement has evolved over the years. My current mission statement is helping people find meaning and purpose to reduce human strife and suffering, helping individuals and goals and groups develop thinking, tools, and methods to save and grow the Earth's life-sustaining resources, helping communities and families find solutions on an aging population that contributes to rather than drains family and community resources, promoting fairness and justice to counter the systemic forces that seek power, control, and domination over human beings. So I'm going to read the next portion so I make sure that I don't leave anything out because it's very important. And it's really about how I see TVUUC contributing to my personal mission statement and why I stay involved. So why does TVUUC matter to me? TVUUC can provide a platform and a community of like-minded professionals that can leverage my desire to help more people find the meaning and purpose outside of groups that promote hate and division. TVUUC members and friends have always been concerned about the environment and have demonstrated through its building design, programs, and political efforts a willingness to take action to help protect the life-sustaining resources of the earth. TVUUC, like most churches, has an aging population, And my hope is that we can find ways to facilitate knowledge and resource collaboration between the young and the not so young, which includes me. Since my first involvement with TVUC during the Civil Rights Movement in the 60s, its congregation has been at the forefront of human rights efforts. My hope is that these efforts can rise to the challenge of the current political and cultural trends. The roles that I have chosen to facilitate my personal vision and help create a shared vision for TVUC are, I gotta remember what I decided to do, are co-chairman of the Strategic Planning Committee, chairman of the Technology Support Team, facilitator for the Sustainable Strategies Team, and chair-elect of Leadership Development Committee. So I invite each of you to think about what roles you can take in TVUC that will contribute to your personal mission and help create a shared vision for the church. I will close then with the prayer that I say every morning to help me stay focused. So Denise and I both meditate every morning for about 20 minutes, and then I say a prayer at the end of my meditation, and my prayer is as follows. My high power, which is in the universe, hallowed be thy name. Help us to protect the life-sustaining resources of the earth. May truth and justice be known on earth in accordance with the universal principles, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Give me this day the nutrition, exercise, sleep, and knowledge necessary to take the next actions toward my mission. Forgive my transgressions, and forgive those that disrespect me. Lead me not into temptation, but deliver me from evil. For mine is the joy and the power that comes through mission, vision, and action now and forever. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Claudia Presley. I'm the Director of Finance and Administration here. So as you listen to the mission statements that A.B. and Denise have given, and as you think about your own, think about the ways that that mission can also help you to contribute financially to us. Today is a Generosity Offering Sunday. So what that means is that 100% of what you give above your pledge will go to the general operating fund of TVUC. If you're here in the sanctuary, there's multiple ways to give. They're listed in your order of service. If you're watching us online, easiest way to do it is to go to the Give button on the screen where you're watching, or text us to the number 73256 TVUC and the amount that you would like to give. Once again, thanks for joining us. Have a wonderful day.
Call me by my name, know me in my truth, trust the sacred flame that burns in me and you. Listen to my song, I'm gentle and I'm strong, with a love I can't contain. Won't you call me by my name? Tell me who you are, let your truth be known. Cast away your fear, for you are not alone. Share your hopes and dreams, together we'll be free to rejoice with all our hearts. Won't you tell me who you are?
we come to learn the gifts we each can give. We offer up in turn a better way to live. The stories that we share will show us how to care. You can help me do my part when we tell me who you are. You can fill the world with grace when you call me by my name.
I'm old enough to remember the Mission Impossible television show before Tom Cruise ever made any one of his movies. You may be familiar with that theme song. Now, every episode of that television show began the exact same way. Jim Phelps would be in some location, and he would sort of furtively go to some place where he would find a reel-to-reel tape player, and he would press play, and a voice would come over that sounded something like this and would say something like this: "Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to get the secret document out of the hands of the enemy and return the hostages safely to their homes. As always, if any members of your team are caught or killed in the exercise of your duties, the secretary will disavow any knowledge of your actions. This tape will self-destruct in 5 seconds." Wouldn't it be nice if finding our mission in life was that simple? All we had to do was find some tape recorder, hit play, and our mission was sort of given to us without any struggle, without any work on our part. Because finding our mission is one of the central goals of all the great world religions that ask the questions: who am I? Why am I here? What is my purpose? What is my mission? It would be a whole lot easier just to hit play. Now, in the Hebrew Scriptures, there is a story about the prophet Elijah that's appropriate for this discernment process, and I'll read it to you. The Lord said to Elijah, "Go out and stand on the mountain in the presence of the Lord, for the Lord is about to pass by." Then a great and powerful wind tore the mountains apart and shattered the rocks before the Lord, but the Lord was not in the wind. After the wind, there was an earthquake, but the Lord was not in the earthquake. After the earthquake, there was a fire, but the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire, there was a still small voice. These words from ancient scriptures remind us that finding our mission in life sometimes means blocking out the noisy distractions in the world or some of the more dramatic events that are going on all around us in order to pay attention to the still small voice within us. Earlier, A.B. and Denise Coleman shared with us their personal mission statements. Denise's statement read in part, "My mission is to facilitate the changes in organizations that develop leaders and unleash the power, creativity, and commitment to the human spirit." And A.B.'s mission statement read in part, "Promoting fairness and justice to counter the systemic forces that seek power, control, and domination of other people." I mention these two mission statements because you can see how these two different personal mission statements are in alignment with a shared ministry, which is one of the reasons the Colemans are a power couple. Shared mission, shared vision. Now, when I was applying for theology school, a fellow Unitarian Universalist asked me the question, when were you called to the ministry? And I did not like that question. I didn't like it at all, because at that phase of my life, I wanted to believe that going into the ministry was a rational decision, that it was a logical outcome of intellectual thought process. But I was wrong. All you have to do is the math. Calculate the cost of an average seminary education. Calculate the cost of lost wages while you're in said seminary. Calculate the average salary of the average minister after you graduate, and you will see it equals a leap of faith. A leap of faith. Indeed, finding our ministry sometimes involves listening to others. And Torsti Sela, when I was a brand new member of this church, came up to me and said, "Have you ever thought about the ministry?" And I said, "I'm just now getting used to going to church." So sometimes somebody outside helps you find your mission, but sometimes we have to stop listening to outside voices. An earthworm, as we learned in the story, could try to embrace the mission of a bird, could try to embrace the mission of a beaver, could try to embrace the mission of a bear. However, an earthworm will always be more successful if that mission is aligned with the qualities that are unique to earthworms. Now, here's the problem. Sometimes the world tells us we're earthworms, and we know we're bears, and we know we're birds, or we know we're beavers or some other creature. So, one, it's helpful to hear the messages, but we also have to do discernment. We have to define ourselves. And the best definition of ourselves will come from listening to the wisdom from within us. As Ralph Waldo Emerson once wrote, every mind has a new compass, a new north, a new direction of its own, differing its genius and aim from every other mind, and none of us will ever accomplish anything excellent or commanding except when we listen to this whisper that can be heard by ourselves alone. The whisper that can be heard by ourselves alone. That's actually another translation, the Hebrew scripture, still small voice, is gentle whisper. So today we are inviting everyone to reflect on that question. What is my mission in life? And by now, hopefully you found the part in your order service where you can write it. But if you have another piece of paper, it doesn't matter. We invite you to reflect on it. And as the end of the service, you bring it up, put it up here by the chalice. We'd like to know more about your mission statement so we can think and reflect on our shared mission together. So during this service, give us some words. If it's incomplete, that's okay. If you can only come up with one sentence. This is just starting things. Now, many years ago, I was put on the spot in the same way. It was a different exercise, but I was asked to write down in a Build Your Own Theology class my personal definition of the word God. And I mention it because it's related to my overall mission statement. So I wasn't required to write the words out. Nobody could make me do it. So it was just invited to do it. And I wrote, wherever two or more are gathered to love and support and encourage each other, there is a power greater than ourselves that can renew, restore, and sustain us. That is my definition of the word God. If you prefer another word or you prefer to remain silent instead of using words, that's okay. But I believe in that power. I believe in that power. And my mission is to create a community and to create smaller groups where we gather together to love and support and encourage each other. Each small group being like a cell of the larger body as a whole. And by so doing, by creating these communities of support, we are doing what we can to counter the systemic forces of domination and oppression. And we are unleashing the power, creativity, and commitment to the human spirit. Of course, now I have a deeper understanding of how gathering, when I first wrote these words, I always imagined gathering being getting together in a bricks and mortar building someplace. But now I know, and Kim Haynes' memorial services reveals, people can form really strong bonds and really strong connections by coming to an online heart-to-heart circle on a small group ministry. So as we embrace meeting in this building, let's also embrace those ministries that reach people. Before Kim had cancer, she traveled for work, so being able to come online was very important. So let's broaden our understanding. Let's keep that desire to gather, to love, and support and encourage each other. But let's be open to how things are changing and what that might look like. My work here at this church has taught me that whatever I plan may just be collapse. Literally, I began my ministry here a few weeks before September 11th, 2001, and I had outlined all the sermons I was going to give to introduce myself to the congregation, and then terrorist planes hit the Twin Towers, and my plans and the towers themselves collapsed. I took some sabbatical time a few years later, came up with some plans about what to do and how we were going to move forward, and this sanctuary became a scene of a hate crime where 2 people were killed and 8 people were injured, and all my plans collapsed. And then 7 years later, thinking, oh, we can finally start planning. What happens but COVID-19? Oh my God. Nothing in seminary tells you what to do during a global pandemic. I learned nothing. I learned nothing in seminary to prepare me for that. So my personal mission statement is aligned with my personal definition of God, because I think that love and support and encouragement, that creative creation of the beloved community is so important, because I personally have walked into churches where the message from the pulpit was chronic depression. And I walked into churches where the message from the pulpit was shame and guilt. And I walked into churches where the message is, you're not doing enough, you're not doing enough, you're not good enough. And the message I want to come from this pulpit and the coffee hour and visiting outside is love, support, and encouragement. That is my mission. My mission statement aligns with my ordination vows that I gave on May 3rd, 1998, as a younger person with no gray in my hair whatsoever, in Coomler Chapel in Oxford, Ohio, in the room where Fannie Lou Hamer led this little light of mine with the civil rights marchers who were organizing to go down for the Freedom Summer and civil rights activism. This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. Won't let anybody blow it out, hide it under a bushel. No, I'm going to let it shine. In that room, decades later, my ordination, and mindful of the memories, the sacred memories of the ancestors who risked their lives, who sang in that room, and the memory of those who did not return from Mississippi Freedom Summer, Andrew Goodman, James Chaney, Michael Schwerner, young idealists who died 1964, the year I was born. Sacred ancestors. I said to that assembled group, I accept the joys and responsibilities of this most sacred mission to make my life's work a ministry of reconciliation, reconciling all people to each other and to the earth which sustains us, and so many other diverse forms of life, and to the God in whom we live and move and have our being. Decades later, it sounds a lot like Mission Impossible. As I look around the world today, I see so many unreconciled relationships, both to people and to the earth. Everywhere I look, turn on the TV, unreconciled relationships are all around us. And yet, I am true to the vows today. And I take comfort in the words of the poet Robert Browning, slightly paraphrased. Our reach should exceed our grasp, or what's a heaven for? So take a moment to write out your personal mission statement. If you can only come up with 3 words or 4 words, you won't be graded on this assignment. Just get something there on paper, bring it up to us after the service, but after you write it, read it. And as you read it, know that this is your mission, should you decide to accept it. This sermon will end in 5 seconds. Amen. I invite you to rise in body or spirit to sing hymn 141. We have a calling in this world. We are called to honor diversity, to respect differences with dignity, and to challenge those who forbid it. We are people of a wide path. Let us be wide in affection and go our way in peace. Prophetic Church, the world awaits your liberating ministry. Go forward in the power of love. Proclaim the truth that makes us free. As our last act of worship, I invite you to turn and greet your neighbor.
What's your statement? Let's close up there.